Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Derek Edwards. I'm with the Mountain Area Workforce Development Board. And this afternoon, we're conducting an interview with Tammy Albrecht at Wilsonart. And we're going to ask her a series of questions, and she's going to hopefully give us some insight into her career experience and what it's like to work at Wilsonart. So welcome, Tammy, and thank you for being with us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am an employee of Wilsonart for 39 years. I started my 39th year in July. And I have 4 children, all of whom are married, and that resulted in 7 grandchildren that are the light of my life. And what I really enjoy spending my extra time with is my grandchildren and my family. So like I said, I've been at Wilsonart for 39 years. I worked my way up through the ranks. I started in the accounting department straight out of Asheville Buncombe Technical College. When I finished my 2-year degree there, I came and it was interviewing for jobs and actually was offered a position at Steelcase and then a position at Wilsonart. And I really chose the position at Wilsonart because the job intrigued me more than the job at Steelcase did. And of course, now I'm really glad I did because, as most everybody knows, Steelcase shut down several years ago. So it's been a great ride. Wilsonart is a manufacturing company of high pressure decorative laminate. And most people would know that as Formica, but for us, Formica is the F word. They're our biggest competitor. And what high pressure decorative laminate is this is an example of some of the stuff that we make here. It's all different patterns. We make over 10,000 different SKUs in this building, different parts in this building with a little over 500 employees, and just a great company to work for. I started in accounting, then I went into human resources, and then I went into the manufacturing environment as a leader or a manager at the time. And then I traveled with the company for about 5 years running projects, and I traveled overseas, so Australia, Canada, China, Thailand. And then they asked me if I would be interested in coming back to Fletcher and being the director of operations. And so I did that and have been doing that now. This is my 6th year back in Fletcher. Actually, in October, it'll be my 6th year back. So that's a little bit about me and my journey at Wilsonart.
Well, so as you tell us a little bit about your decision making and how did you choose your career?
Well, when I came out of high school, I knew I wanted to do manufacturing of some sort. Both my parents were employees at GE. My mom was also in accounting, and my dad actually worked in the manufacturing floor, and through the reimbursement program at GE was able to get his engineering degree and then worked as an engineer at General Electric. And so I had been involved with GE during the summers and just my spending time there, and knew that manufacturing was where my interests lie. And so when I came out of AV Tech, I applied at manufacturing plants, and with the hope of getting into the office because my degree was in business, my 2-year degree was in business. And I was lucky enough to get into the office and then branch my career out into the manufacturing environment, where I spent the majority of my career.
That's a good answer, because, a lot of times people don't realize that when we're talking about various employers, that within that employer, there's more than just the production person. There's all the back office support that goes along with it, right? And we don't even think about that very often. As we look at companies, we think, oh, well, that's the hospital, that's the manufacturing plant. You don't realize that there's a whole range of jobs within that organization that you might not even think of.
And that's a great point. It's just like at Wilsonart, we have a full engineering department. We have a full human resources department. We have our own maintenance department. It's 60 employees strong. And within that department, we have welders, we have electricians, we have mechanics. We have just a array of things that are out there. And, Wilsonart it offers a good, clean, safe working environment, excellent benefits, paid vacation, paid holidays, insurance, medical, dental, education reimbursement. So say you come straight out of high school and you don't know what you want to do, and you get a job at Wilsonart, and then you decide, hey, I would like to be an engineer, or I would like to be an accountant or whatever, then Wilsonart reimburses for that education. So as long as you maintain an acceptable grade level. So there's just lots of benefits to manufacturing. And, sometimes it comes with that stigma of, oh, it's, manufacturing's dirty and dreary. And so I would just encourage everybody that before you go down that road of that stigma, come and visit us. Let me walk you through this plant and to show you what a life in the day at Wilsonart is like. And I think it would absolutely be a very good career for a lot of people.
That's a good answer. So you've touched on it some. The next question is, what education, training, or background does your career require?
So I'm director of operations at Wilsonart, and so my particular career at this point, it required a degree. I have a 4-year business degree, and I'm partially through with my master's. I've kind of put that on hold a bit because we've been quite busy here and the COVID and all of that stuff, and so just haven't got back into that. But it does require a 4-year degree. I think the biggest thing that this job requires is the ability to work with people and lead them in a common direction. And that's not always, that's not something that you learn from textbooks all the time. But, I think it grows through, that skill grows through your work experience. And so as you're working with people and you learn how to be a team player, because that's really, really important. There are very few jobs here that you do by yourself. And even in my role, I'm the only director of operations at this facility, but without those other 500 people working around me and with me, I'm not going to be successful. And so I think that's the biggest thing that anybody going into a career has to realize is that you can't do it by yourself, and you have to create an atmosphere where people can work together toward a common goal. And so I would say that just that background and working together and learning team dynamics and learning how to deal with not only the good times but the bad times and get through that as a group is really an important trait to have going into any career.
Agree totally on that. One of my favorite sayings is, teamwork makes the dream work.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and there's no E in team, right?
So just give us a quick rundown on what is a typical day like for you in your role as the operations manager?
So for me, a typical day is the first thing in the morning is I touch base with all of my direct reports, which are the managers of each of the areas in the plant. And we have a morning meeting, and that's where we talk about what happened yesterday, what happened last night, what are the challenges for the day, what are the risks, what have we got going on that needs attention, what breakdowns did we have. The very first thing that we start every meeting with, though, is safety. And we talk about, did we have anybody hurt? Did we have anyone turn in what we call a hazard ID form, where there's an opportunity for something that they saw that was unsafe that needed to be fixed? We jump on those things first thing. So it's touching base with that group, getting a feel for what's going on in the plant. Pre-COVID, it was then spending time out on the floor with the people and, doing the jobs. My job is to listen and pave the way for them to be able to do their job successfully. And so not only am I responsible for the financials of the facility and all that goes with that, but I'm also responsible for giving these folks the things that they need to do their jobs and be successful in their jobs. And so spend a lot of time on the floor, spend a lot of time with people. During COVID, that's been a little bit challenging because we're trying to limit that exposure. And so that's been difficult for all of us, because all of my leadership team is real involved with the folks on the floor, and we have a really interactive group. It would be hard to tell who is the director of operations and who is a press operator. We just all work together and know we all have a role. And so as the day goes on, of course, I'm in a lot of meetings. Our corporate office is in Temple, Texas, with our headquarters being out of Austin, Texas. And so we do a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of those type calls throughout the day. And it's planning calls, it's head count calls, it's, you know, what challenges are you facing with COVID? It's how can we, you know, get the proper PPE in here for people, those kind of things. So it's, my day is, if I had to sum up what my day looks like, it's making sure that I make it easy on the people that make this place successful and give them the tools that they have, that they need to be successful.
Thank you. What would you say you like the most about your career?
The people that I get to work with every single day. And that's because, you know, everybody has a different personality and everybody brings their little niche to the table that rolls up to make us all successful. And so I think, you know, I'm close to retirement and could retire. I choose to continue to work. And the reason I do that is because of the people that I work with.
Tell us a little bit about challenges that you have faced in your career.
Well, I think some of the biggest challenges have been around people. And the reason for that is because, you know, you want people to recognize that once you're an employee at Wilsonart, you have a great opportunity to create a very successful career for yourself. And, you know, we have an excellent retirement plan. We have an excellent 401k. We just have so many things that set you up for a successful future. And I think for me, the challenges has been around trying to get people to think beyond the paycheck. So while the pay's good, it's not everything. And, you know, having the pay for today and then having a secure future is just as important. And so that's a challenge, especially in today's workforce. It's like, what's in it for me? And I need it right now. And so to me, that is the biggest challenge. You know, I'm of the old school, you know, where, I mean, I've been here 39 years and I'm committed to this company, and that's hard to find these days. And that, just that challenge of finding the workforce that looks beyond what's in it for me today, it's just been really, really challenging.
Thank you. What characteristics do you think someone needs to have that is interested in your particular career field? And you could speak maybe more broad than your role as an operations manager, but what's allowed you to stick with this career? You've done different jobs over time, but you've stuck with it for an incredibly long amount of time. And that is becoming increasingly rare with people to stay at one company that long and to build a career of that over that time. So as you're thinking about someone who's out there watching this who says, well, yes, I think I might be interested in Wilsonart, what are some of the characteristics that you would say would help them?
So I think the biggest things is, it goes back to just the basic, you know, having a work ethic. And to me, having a work ethic means that you show up to work on time and you show up to work every day, that you're scheduled to work. And that seems to be challenging these days, to find folks that have that commitment. And for me, one of the big things is being willing to change. You know, you get an opportunity, and sometimes you have to step back to step forward. And let me give you an example of that. So when I was in accounting, you know, I had a Monday through Friday 8 to 5 job. Well, I wanted to move up in the organization and knew that I did. And so when I got the opportunity to go into manufacturing, it wasn't a Monday through Friday job. And so you have to ask yourself, am I willing to take a step into something a little less desirable for the long-term benefit? And again, it goes into that seeing that long-term benefit. So it's the work ethic, it's the willingness to change and to maybe take something for a period of time that will help you develop your career. It's about going back and getting your education. You know, it's about using what the company provides for you. We have part-time opportunities for people that want to work part-time and get their education. So we have that available to folks too. So I think for me, the characteristics are that willingness to work and devote yourself to something for the long haul. And seeing that at the end, you're going to be better for it. And hopefully I'll leave Wilsonart better than I found it. That's my goal.
I'm sure you have accomplished that. What would you say to a middle or high school student that what should they do now to prepare for entering your career field in the future?
So again, I have to go back to, I think parents push their children to go to college because they think that that's what will get them, you know, the best career. But not every kid is cut out to go to college. You know, there's still an opportunity to earn a very, very good living and have a very successful career without going to a four-year college. I mean, look at the trades in the maintenance department in Fletcher and at Wilsonart. You can have a very, very good career. So what I would challenge them to have is an open mind to manufacturing. It's not the manufacturing of old. Manufacturing has changed as well. And you walk out in our plant, it's clean, it's bright, there's technology all over the place. And to operate this plant, we need an array of folks that cover a whole gamut of skills. And so in a manufacturing environment, there's a little something for everybody. And so my first thing would be, come visit. Let me take you out there and show you what a life at Wilsonart would look like. And when you look at the longevity of the folks at Wilsonart, our average tenure is 17 years. That says something for a manufacturing company. And so I would just say, you know, let us show you what manufacturing is about in this day and time.
Thank you. So the next question is, what skills do you think are most important to be successful in any career?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in any career to be successful, you have got to be willing to work with others and help others be successful along the way. It's about working in a team. There's very, very few opportunities anymore where your success isn't going to be dependent on somebody else, and their success isn't going to be dependent on you. It's a team effort. And so to me, the biggest skill set that a person needs to have is that ability to get along and work with a group of people to a common outcome.
Thank you. And last question is, what advice would you give someone who's entering the workforce today?
Well, be able to pass the drug screen. How about that? You know, that's what we look for. We look for somebody that can pass a drug screen, somebody that, you know, has a good work ethic, that wants to come to work, wants to be on time. Because, you know, as good as Wilsonart is, we can't do the jobs here without people to do the jobs. And so having people here is super, super important. And so attendance, just being willing to make that commitment that, you know, if you accept a job, you're going to be at that job and you're going to work hard at that job. And so for me, it's just that good old, you know, fashioned work ethic that I think that we got to get back to, that we've got to get back to. Just my opinion.
Well, I wanted to say thank you to Tammy Albrecht and Wilsonart for participating in today's call. I want to also say thank you to Henderson County Public Schools who came up with our question list and shared it with us. Thank you to them. And this is a production of the Mountain Area Workforce Development Board and the Land of Sky Regional Council. Thanks for joining us.